Hello, you guys. This is Guadalupe Contreras with the video about stuttering. And right now we're in part 4, study 12. It's called Gestures and Facial Expressions. And today what I want to do is show you that this is one of the most important subject that will help stutterers stop stuttering when you use gestures. Because when you gesture like this, you're moving oxygen in your body all over, and it's going to the brain mostly. That's why it's appropriate to gesture when you speak. And now for gestures and facial expressions, what do you need to do, right? Well, using movements of the hands, shoulders, or the entire body to express ideas, sentiments, or attitudes, right? Use the eyes and the mouth as well as the positioning of the head to reinforce the spoken word and to convey feelings. Why is it important, right? Gestures and facial expressions add visual and emotional emphasis to your speech, and they may stir up your feelings and therefore enliven your voice. Well, first of all, before we start, right, so I want to say that if you want the download for the publication free, well, if you're welcome to give donations, right, after I, the vid, I put it in join and everything. You can give donations if you want. If you can, it's all right. But if you want the download for the publication, put it there in the comments and I'll send you the link, Send me your information there in the comments there and I'll send the links for you, or I'll put the links there, that for you to have if you want to do that. And then that way that you have the publication, ebook, and yeah, you know what, I'll be able to go through it with you. This will be our publication book. And see, the difference between a person that stutters and a person just from, not stuttering is that you're going to get the book, right? But unless if you're in a school communications class or anything, you won't get the gist out of it, right? So, if you're serious, just serious people, please download. Don't waste, time. And, I would appreciate that, okay? Because give respect to the book. You know what I mean? And what you understand, right? Because people that stutter, they understand this because they really need this information to help them, And the book's going to help you out. Plus, you need the instructor to put emphasis on, the information being told, and then the appropriate, pausing, of it to understand it, and you'll be able to apply it as you, continue to grow as a speaker. The book is assigned for public speakers, right? But I was able to use this as myself, my self-experience to stop stuttering. That's how I did it, that. And I'm going to show you the techniques that I did in here and the difference of you opening up yourself, doing it. Here's the difference. The difference is that, if you don't stutter, right? What you're gonna just take it as a ordinary public speaking book from school, and So if this is what you want, help yourself. I'm fine. But if you're a stutterer and you need help, join the class. This again is a preview only. I'm just giving you a sample of what's gonna happen, but I'm not showing you. There's a lot more stuff. We're gonna have fun in class. I ain't lying. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I got links in there, everything. I'll be making a vid how the class is gonna be more of a preview, more emphasis on the material. All right, now let's get into it. It's see this right here about this speaks a lot about cultures and everything, right? Facial expressions and all this stuff like that. Right, and what I want to do is just, for now, the preview, right? I want to just, jump into it. What we're going to be doing in the class, okay? And so right here in paragraph, you know, it speaks about a lot, you know, gestures, but I want to fall in just into the main points of it, give you the ingredients of it. Gestures, they fall in two categories only, which is, say, descriptive and emphatic categories. Okay, two categories, right? Descriptive and emphatic categories, okay? A descriptive is gestures, expression, actions, or show dimension and location, okay? And say, in the school, when you are working on the use of gestures, do not be content with just one or two. See what I mean? Try to gesture in a natural way throughout your talk. So what that means in school, right? Like with this class that I'm going to offer, you know, it's a, you know, my little mini school, right? So you join in the class, you know, and that's what I mean by class, okay? This is it, my class right here. All right, so if you are having difficulty in gesturing, right? You may find it helpful to look for words that show direction, distance, size, location, or relative position. See what I mean? Descriptive gestures, right? It's mostly like wording, you know what I mean? Not movements of the hands and stuff like that. So in many cases, however, that it says that all that you need to do is to get what absorbed in your talk. Talk could mean, you know, or even part, meaning that, you know, what you're speaking, an assignment, okay? And then not worrying about the impression you are making, but saying and doing things as you would in daily life. When a person is relaxed, gestures come naturally. So mostly, you know what, when we speak about descriptive gestures, it's mostly using words. You know what I mean? Like, say, for example, if you're having trouble, right, not understanding this right here, the publication, right, I'm looking down on it, you know, to explain to you. And if you notice, I'm just directly going into the material with you here, the preview, right? It says that if you are having difficult in doing, you know, understanding it, right, you may find it helpful to look for words that show direction, and then distance, and size, and location. For example, right, say that you don't understand how to give description of, you know, the mountain. Well, when you say, look at the mouth of the mountain, you know, and then when you look over there, it's a cave, you know what I mean, right? So you understand, you know what, how do you show that, you know, of a description of, you know, the mouth of the mountain? Well, when you look, you know, a mouth open, you know, hole, right? Mouth, you use a descriptive as a cave, you know. Ain't that interesting? See? Descriptive gestures, that's what that is. You use words, you know, mostly, you know. Use words mostly to understand descriptive, you know, gestures, you know. Okay, now how about emphatic gestures? Express feeling and conviction. They punctuate, vitalize, reinforce ideas. Emphatic, you know what? Emphatic gestures are important, but beware though, okay? They can easily become mannerisms, meaning that, you know what, you're just saying them wrong, man. It doesn't sound good, you know? If you use the same gesture again and again, oh man, you know, it's like that you're like a time bomb or something. You know what, boom, you know what, no, I shouldn't say time bomb. I should say, you know what, you're like a puppet, man. A yo-yo, you know, saying the thing over and over and over, you know what I mean? You know, don't do that. You know, don't do that. You know, here's why, you know. It says beware. Emphatic gestures can become easily mannerisms. You know what? If you use the same gesture again and again and again and again and again, it may begin to draw attention to itself instead of enhancing your talk, you know, your information meaning talk, your assignment. And then it says the instructor, right, meaning me, indicates that you have this problem. You know, it says try limiting yourself solely to descriptive gestures for a time. So start using words instead of, doing descriptive gesture, emphatic gestures. And then so, like say, for example, and determine the extent to which you should use emphatic gestures and the sort of gesture that are appropriate. Consider the feelings of those to whom you are speaking, right? See what I mean? Like your audience, hearing you talk and everything. And say, for example, if a male in some cultures were to make certain gestures, such as putting his hand over his mouth and express surprise, this would be viewed as effeminate. In some parts of the world, it says that it is considered immodest for a woman to gesture freely with the hands. So in those places, right, females basically need to make good use of facial expressions. So what they're just saying here is just, we're talking about cultures, say like here in New York, what you gotta be careful the way that you talk to females, different cultures, because it could be very disrespectful. Like say, for example, if you're talking to a female from a certain culture here, right, and and then the husband is there and, you're not addressing it right, you know what I mean? It could be offensive, And that's all I'm going to say, I'm not going to get into judging here or anything here, like that, you know what I mean? And for example, say the Mexican culture, right? Say gesturing, to a certain person, shaking a person's hand, hugging them too close, to your body, stuff like that. It could be very offensive in some cultures, But a gesturing, if you're pointing to a person like this, that, and it's a certain culture, that means, very disrespectful. And then two, as well, it could really be offensive, So here, say for example, how does this come in, right? Say with emphatic gestures, right? That if you're there sitting down, say, right? And for example, here it speaks about facial expression, and the way that you're looking at somebody in the audience, right? If you're giving a discourse talk, and the way that you look at them, it's offensive, And so how does all this come into with stuttering, gesturing, and all this right here? And in fact, with gestures, for example, what we know is that that let me explain it more clear. The book is theory, okay? I understand that. That's what I'm saying. If you get the book and you're not a stutterer, you're going to use it as a theory book. That's it. Like I explain it, they'll look at it as that, and that's it. They're done to move on, no interest really. Unless they need it for school, right? You get your credits and, you pass, etc., okay? Or you use the material for work, But for stuttering, gesturing, it's a way that it makes people feel, emphatic, feeling, It makes them feel comfortable, They pay attention when you gesture. When you express things, you become like dimensional what you talk about. Your phrases and your paragraphs become alive by you. The way you express yourself by your body, your fingers, your hands. And like say the Italian culture, right? The way they talk, they use gestures like, forget about it, man. Hey, what's up? They always a body expression that gives a attachment, to each other, to what you're saying, and it's respectful and really makes a point of what they're talking about. You understand it. How does this relate to stuttering? Well, whenever you stutter, right, you use a lot of gestures, your muscles and tension and everything. Well, now, like I said, you want to have fluency in your material by thinking first what you got to do. Remember the air, breathing, then letting it out smoothly, fading away, right? And then after that, pausing, right? That gives what? Instill the information so others can understand it, right? And then while that you're doing that, you're moving your hands, doing that like that. And then because when you move your hands like this, it brings oxygen. It helps you, for example, what I did was when I started this technique right here, my first time doing it, right, the first day, after I did it like 50 times, I was just so tired. So the next day, what I did was the gesturing helped me. I would inhale, you inhale like this, and then move your hands. I would, do that like that, and I would be speaking out like this. In the join class that you pay for, I'm going to show you all the techniques like that. This is just a preview, just a little show, that's it, not all of it, So I use this body stuff, movements like that when I speak and everything because it was my method I used to stop stuttering, and people thought I was, doing some kind of smooth dance when I was up there, you know what I mean? I'm not lying, man. They say, hey, man, he's moving kind of, that's interesting, man, because that a new wave of New York. Excuse me. No, but yeah, so in the preview here only, what you're just gonna get the first, the first of it, that of the stages, But how this helps in for stuttering, right? It's it helps because emphatic gesturing of meaning that using your body, your hands and everything. So whenever you inhale, right, and you exhale out air, move your hand like this. It helps you to concentrate, to stop thinking about stuttering. It helps you to focus on your task, what you're doing, See what I mean? So this, how it helps you, you control the brain, you're tricking the brain, right? Move your fingers like this, you're tricking the brain. The brain is like, wow, this is neat. Something new, I never heard about this or seen this. You trick your brain system, you know what I mean? And that's what I was doing with emphatic gesturing. So, points to keep in mind, right? The most effective gestures and facial expressions spring from one's inner self, right? Observe what others do, but do not try to imitate them, every detail, right? Study the material for your talks, assignments I'll give you until you know it well. Feel it, visualize it, and then use your voice, hands, and your face to express it. So what they're just saying here, right? Yeah, just everything what was said, right? Just, follow it through. For example, facial expressions, right? Your hands, your body, just move it. That. And in the preview right here, these are the points I'm just giving. I'm going to teach you all that in the class, okay? In fact, I'll let you know when it's going to come out, all right? So right now, this is, 19 minutes, right? We still got, about another 10 minutes to go. So what you want to do right here with this information, right, is just apply it as much as you can, all right? I know when I started, stuttering, this program, my own program I'm making now, when I started it, it was hard. It was just too traumatizing, you know, and I just said, boy, am I gonna really, you know, stop, you know? Am I gonna really, you know, be able to apply everything I even teach people, you know that? If I'm gonna ever teach them, you know that? And you know, it's complicated, ain't it? You know, I'm gonna ask you, you know, how do you feel when you stutter, you know that? Even, I know too, people that are comical about themselves and they get through the day with stuttering, you know what? We all are the same. I'm not lying to you. Doesn't matter what culture you're from or, you know, you wish you stopped and you need help so bad. But the only reason why some people don't continue to stop this, I'll tell you why. Because, see, in their unconscious, they really don't know how. And I could take your unconscious because, like I said, you know, my majors is psychology, abnormal development. Not majors, my degrees, you know. I study psychology, the mentality of abnormal brains, chromosome, you know, psychology, you know. I studied, you know, psychiatry, all that, you know what I mean? I did all that. I got my degrees. I stopped it because, you know what? That's another video, you know. I'm going to have a vid why I stopped all my education, you know, learning. And I decided to go through, you know, YouTubing, right? And why I decided to do this, you know, I'll explain that in another video, you know. But for now, what I'm saying is that the reason why, you know, we tend to not stop stuttering is because our minds we're just, you know, there set, don't know how. That's what it is. And what helped me out, you know, to recognize why can't other people, you know? Reason is that your air control. And in your area, through neuropsychology analyzation, I did research. Well, research, I mean, you know, study, I got the degree in that, you know. Degree meaning that I just studied, you know, the further you study, right? You know, the more they give you a degree of, you know, status, position, you know, that education system. That's all it is, you know what I mean? Has nothing to do with making money or it doesn't, man. Seriously, you know. Anyways, so the reason why I know this, going through the MRIs, you know, I analyzed MRIs on the brain system and stuff. You know that nowadays we got so much stuff. I study right now. I'm going back to the only thing I'm studying right now is to get more. Well, they call it, you know, degrees, doctor, whatever. Is quantum mechanics and quantum physics, right? With psychology, you know that, and synthesis. You know, it's called synthesis. Synthesis degree in quantum mechanics is where the quantum physics, right, and computing is that the atom, we're using atoms, particles, you know what I mean? And these atoms, right, and what's an atom, you know? Well, you know the fingerprinting that we do whenever that we go get a job, whatever, or they fingerprint criminals? That fingerprint is osmium, right? The metal, it's melted down, and the atoms right there, you know, they were able to invent, you know, through that substance, you know, through osmium, that you see the pens. Well, this is a pencil, but the pen, the tip of it, it's made out of osmium, right? The metal, okay? These atoms right there, right? The atoms, you know, the atoms, right? They melted, and atoms, you know what? That substance from the metal created, man, fingerprinting through photosynthesis, you know, electrical, quantum mechanics, you know, X-ray and stuff like that. They could see, you know, the prints of the finger. You know, everybody got a non-identical print. It's not the same, and that's how they made fingerprints like that, you know. And so we're studying this right here through the mind mechanism of, you know, stuttering. You know, I'm able to see and understand it, you know, what it is more deeper and deeper, you know. And I'll make more videos of that right there as well. And will it help? Even if we find out, right, even if we use the best quantum mechanic computer to find out what a person needs, it's still not going to help them. You know why? Because look, a human has to do it himself. And that's what quantum computers, it doesn't matter you spend all the money in the world, trillion, zillion, cadillion, whatever. It doesn't matter. You know what? The computer cannot make a person stop stuttering. But it can tell you what you need to do. You know what I mean? And it'll tell you why you do it, you know, by just using your DNA strand and stuff like that. Once they get into video, what's that called? Virtue, you know what I mean? Once they do you and your DNA in the virtue X-ray of that with quantum mechanics and physics, computing system, they could virtue your DNA like that, but they cannot, you know, make you stop stuttering unless they program your brain. And that's way off. You know what I mean? That's in the future thing. You know what I mean? Well, who knows? They're probably doing it now. We don't even know, man. Hey, watch out, man. Watch out. Close the back door, man. Oh man, it's crazy, right? Like I used to tell my professor, he used to tell me, you better stop that, man. You better stop going too deep, man, with all them questions, because you find too much. You're gonna get in trouble, man. What do you think I'm right here, man? I'm making rock. No, I'm just kidding, right? No, but yeah, but we cannot help a person to stop so far, you know that. And we can't, but what is a good idea though, you know, Apple got the round, I forgot the name of it, you know, but they're real heavy, right? And they're pretty expensive though, you know. That right there, you know, that would be a good idea to buy. In fact, I'm gonna do some investing in that virtue, you know, that device that Apple has, you know, and that's really nice. And that right there will show, you know, techniques, how the brain, virtualization, right? It will show you where your brain is at. And see, that's a good idea because I did some software engineering before, you know, some programs that I made for my mom before she died, you know, about strokes. And I just used a lot of the techniques. I did reverse, you know, engineering on some of the tasks that I was doing, you know, to understand that, you know, that, and that's how that I made this channel Stuttering, you know, because I got into that, and then, but my mom passed away. The project, you know, that I made for her, you know, I couldn't continue it because she's not around, but when she was around, it worked. It helped her out, her memory, you know, that, and I was going to sell my stuff, you know, to companies, you know, around, I'm going to say who. But yeah, you know, I had some real good ideas for the stroke industry. So I decided to go into the stuttering thing because my mom passed away, and, you know, and so that's what I had, you know, decided to do, you know, at first, you know, was the stroke industry. But then, again, you know, mom passed away, and it's been now, this February, well, it'll be 2 years since she passed, you know, that, and wow, man, poor mom. Well, she's not suffering, you know, anymore, you know, and we always think about her. I go down to my sister's house, you know, I visit her, we celebrate it, talk about it, you know, and we have a lot of fun. And then sit there, you know, and even my family had mentioned too, you know, they said, wow, you know, you don't stutter no more, huh, Luke? You know, yeah, I'm glad, man. It's like, you know, making up time, you know, for what things I would love to have done with the family, but I was always quiet. Imagine that, a person that stutters, right? They're quiet. They're just, seriously, I ain't lying, you know what? And if you don't agree out there, I'm sorry, you know, but the majority of us that used to stutter, they're quiet. It's just quiet. I remember I went to Job Corps, right? Oh man, a long time ago. And then I was quiet. I didn't do nothing, man. I didn't talk to anybody, right? You know what I mean? I didn't, this is, okay, yeah, gesturing. I didn't talk to anybody, never, you know? And people that, you know what, were, well, once they got to know me, right? And then, you know, we made friends and everything. We expressed about each other, right? You know, you meet friends and then you come to a point and then you express about each other how you felt. You always have that conversation, right? About that, how you feel about somebody, right? You know what I mean? How you feel about somebody, right? You know, and they told me that they were scared of me, man. They go, you know what? We, well, you know, the friends that I met, they were, you know, all around hanging out with them now. We sat down and talked. They said, you know what, bro? You scared the hell out of us, man. We did not know who you were, who, you know, what was in your brain, because you never talk, man. A lot of people that don't talk, they're like serial killers, man. Like, man, you know what? They're just, you know, and they're just, you know, I was seeing some here, it came out, you know, don't move the table too much, okay? Boy, these gimbals, boy, they're real sensitive, right? Anyways, but yeah, my friend said that they were very uncomfortable because I wouldn't talk or do anything, you know? And then once they get to know me, you know, they got to know me, they were like, man, you're the coolest dude I ever met, man. And how I met my friends at that time, right? Because I stuttered a lot. Whenever that we were at the commissary, right? I was trying to say something, and they came up, man. They were in a group, all of them, about 4 or 5. They came up, hey, man, don't be acting like that with him. Let him talk, man. He kind of, you know, tests it out and everything, you know. And I said, hey, man, who are you, bro? He goes, don't worry about it, man. You know, we got your back, man. You know that you don't say nothing. You're like a goddamn monster, I bet, right? With it. That's how I met my friends, you know. We were at the commissary, right? Remember, I went to job court, and we were at the commissary, and I was trying to order a hamburger and fries and a Coke, you know, there. And the commissary was, you know, job court was, you know, place where, you know, students were able to, you know, leave home, go to a place to learn a vocation, right, trade. And so I qualified for that, and I went. And then there, we had like certain nights where that they made showed movies, you know. Remember back in the day, they had like VHS, you know, tapes and stuff like that. Remember, you know how old I am then, right? And so we were there at the commissary. It was a building where they sold, you know, well, they had a kitchen, you know, a deli, right? It had everything there, Coke, soda, everything, you know, food, you know, kitchenette, whatever, right? Well, I was ordering food, you know, and I couldn't do it. You know how I told you, stammering. They heard it, they came up, man. They kind of like say, yeah, hey, let this guy talk, man. And so I guess, you know what, they were scared of me or something, right? You know, and they didn't know I stuttered. They didn't know, and they go, man, that's why you don't talk, bro. You don't know how. You know what I mean? And then so that's what it was, you know. And that's how I made friends, you know, because they came up and helped me out, you know, to talk, you know, to order for me. And yeah, it was something, man. But anyways, yeah, look at with the information, yeah, that we're going over today about gesturing. Just apply it as much as you can, okay? And don't take it, you know, too seriously. Don't. I know in your first sessions that you're doing, you're gonna have a challenge. It's gonna be hard, man. Your first month. Believe me, it gets better after the second month. Seriously. if you're doing everything correctly, you know, that because your brain is so confused, right, that it just starts to do better, you know. But it's always after what it wants to do, which is bad, negative, you know, thinking negative, right? Like what you want to go out and order something, right, and it'll attack you. You know what I mean? It'll start to say, well, you know what? If you go, you're gonna start moving a certain way. You're gonna start, you know, you can't say it. Why go? You know what I mean? And then so, what you want to do is look at my example. You know that. You know, look at my example, and then keep following it. You know, and understand that you know what. One day you'll be able to stop, and that's gonna be the best, you know, feeling you're gonna ever be. Because I remember in school, college years, you know, when I was in college, oh my God, I had to go back to school late in my later years when I was like, let me see. I studied mostly on, you know, at home courses because of the speech, you know that. So I studied a lot at home as an introvert. But then in my 30s, that's when I started coming out of it. I got into church, you know, and what I started studying when I was, 10. And then it wasn't until my 30s I got, you know, into church, about 30 years old. And that's when I started, you know, be conscious about it. And I started stopping. So I started college, at 38? I think 34 years old. 33, I started to go back to school in my 30s. Imagine that, all them years. You know, I went when I was 18, but, you know, to job corps and everything, right? But, it was complicated. It was a lot. Just so, I was in school, but then really, I wasn't there. But I got excellent grades on my, you know, my assignments, though. But I just couldn't express myself, you know. And it wasn't until, you know, my 30s, around 30, yeah, I started to go back to school in my, 30 years old. Yeah. And then college, I mean, serious school, you know, going to college and doing the assignments, you know, AA degrees, you know, getting them. A lot of, you know, degrees I got in school, started, you know, studied a lot. My instructors told me, oh boy. He told me that there was a president, Thomas Jefferson, our president, one of our presidents, right, Thomas Jefferson. He said that Thomas Jefferson acquired 18 degrees, yeah. And I was after his record, man. I had, I got 12, right? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm a 6 behind, you know. I forget it. I don't need it, man. You know what I mean? And not bragging or anything, right? And showing you that our school system now, right, ain't the same the way it was before. And plus, during time of Tom Jefferson times, right, I'm not going to say that their course curriculum was different than ours. Ours is more, you know, more cluttered with too much knowledge, right? But theirs, it was shorter to get them, you know. They didn't have to study all these years, right? And probably you got to study about a year, that was it. But it was more authentic. It was more, you know, of alleviated. Like, in other words, it was establishment, what they taught and they learned. They learned and they degreed themselves by what they did for America, United States. You know what I mean? They acquired, it was a lot of philosophy, information going on. And then there was a lot of subjects Thomas, you know, studied in. And the way he did his grammatical, you know, essays, discourses, and everything, they were precise, they were learnable. Not only that, they were establishable, you know. And that's the difference from then. And our time now is just pure theory curriculum. Wow. 4 books, man, you got to read more books and books. 4 years to get it. It wasn't like that then, you know. No, you know, they didn't have to go to school for 10 years to be a doctor, man. No, man. They didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? It was less years. The degree time was different. You know, so I say, man, I probably caught up with him already, man. You know, I just kidding. Anyways, it's 40 minutes here. So just, you know, do the stuttering thing, information. I just, you know, gave you some, you know, some information about stuttering and some, you know, some experiences going on. All right, you guys, thanks for hearing. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video.